All right, we are doing 4-3. So this is your warm-up. Remember that they gave you the domain, which are your x values. And so domain are your x's, which means you're always going to be, in this case, solving for your y values. So it's going to be easier if you just take this equation and isolate the y to begin with. So if we have 3x plus y equals 12, and I know I'm going to be solving for y every single time, I'm going to go ahead and just get the y by itself to begin with. So I'm just going to subtract 3x from both sides, which leaves me with y equals 12 minus 3x. They aren't alike, so you just write them all out. And now that I have that, my life is going to be a lot easier, and I just can take all of these values for x and plug them in. So I'm going to do like y equals 12 minus 3 times negative 1, because that's the first thing that we're being asked to plug in. So y equals 12 minus 3 times negative 1, and then y equals 15. And then you're just going to go ahead and finish that out. So you're going to use that equation 3 more times to plug in the rest of those domains to get your range. And then it's just always a good idea to mimic the way that the question was given to you as your answer. So you can go ahead and just list the range out when you're done. Okay, graphing linear equations. You need to do this exploration first. If you haven't done that, please just do that now. So leave the notes and go do the exploration first. There's a video attached to the exploration kind of explaining how to do it. And then once you're done and you've answered those conclusion questions, then you can come back and we're going to go over it in the notes. So if you haven't done the exploration, go do that first and then come back and do the notes. The first question that you were asked is, what did all of the solution points form when connected? So we were allowed to connect those solution points this time because they came from equations and they made very specific patterns. And these all created lines. Okay, so they all made lines. You were asked to graph the points on the when x was 0 or y was 0 in different colors. So when x was 0, so if you had 0 and then a number for y, your number was, or your point was on the y-axis. This is what we should find, okay? Because if you think about it, the 0 for the x means that you aren't moving left or right at all. You're only moving up or down. So if you didn't move left or right at all, you're stuck on that y-axis. When y is 0, where were you located? That's just the opposite. So you have a number for x and 0 for y. That means you go left and right all you want, but you never move up or down, which leaves you on the x-axis. Okay? And those are those first 3 questions. How many points do you have to make a line? Okay, so you just plotted 5. That seems a little excessive. My question to you is, if I put this point right here and I tell everybody in the class to come draw a line through that point, is everybody going to draw the same line? No, you can draw lines all over the place through the same point, and that's not all going to be the same line. So that we need more than one. If I give you 2 points and I ask everybody in the class to come draw a line through that point, everybody would have to draw the same line. Okay? So the fewest number of points we need to make a line are 2. Can have more, but the fewest is 2. If you were given the range instead of the domain, would you come up with the same solution set? So what we mean by that is if you had y values given to you that you plugged in instead of x values, would you get the same thing? So hopefully you tested a point and you found that yes, you do get the same thing. So you would just go to one of the examples and plug the y value in and see if you got this x value out. Okay, but yes. So the point is, we only need 2 points to graph a line. And it doesn't matter if you plug numbers in for x or you plug numbers in for y, you can still get points and graph a line. 0 is a very easy number to plug in. So the easiest way to do this is going to be to plug 0 in for x to get your y-intercept, and plug 0 in for y to get your x-intercept, and then you can graph your line using those 2 points, and it's going to make your life a lot easier. So this says use x and y intercepts to graph the equation. So if I'm going to start, let's say I want to find my x-intercept. If I am on the x-axis, okay, I'm on the x-axis, that means I never moved up or down, so y has to be 0. So I'm going to plug 0 in where the y is in that equation. So all I did was take the equation, x plus 4y equals 8, and plug 0 in for y. Well, 4 times 0 is 0, so this term is gone. I don't even have it here anymore. All I have left is x equals 8. So I've already solved for x. It was simple. Remember, we're looking for points, so be careful. You have to give me an ordered pair. In this case, x was 8, and I plugged 0 in for y, so my point is 8, 0. I can graph that. That's going to be right 8 up and down 0, so I can go over to the graph and go right 8 and then up and down not at all, so I'm on the x-axis. Okay, and then I'm going to do your y-intercept. So that means you're on the y-axis. If you're on the y-axis, you never moved left or right. That makes x 0. So I take the exact same equation up above, but I now plug a 0 where the x is. So 0 is gone, it doesn't do anything. So I have 4y equals 8. I'm not quite done because y isn't solved for yet. So you divide both sides by 4. And you get that y equals 2. Remember, we need a point, not an equation. We need an ordered pair. So my x value, I chose that to be 0. And then the y we got as your answer is 2. So my point is 0, 2. So when I go to graph it, I'm not going to move left or right at all, and I'm going to go up 2 on the y-axis, just like I wanted. So now I have a point on the x-axis and the y-axis, which is enough to be able to graph my line. So you just connect your points. Ooh. Harder than it looks. Connect the points through your graph and add the arrows to the ends to indicate that this would keep going in both directions. And that is the easiest way to graph a line right now, is just to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So plug 0 in for x, get a point. Plug 0 in for y and get a point. You do not have any homework because you already did the exploration, so you should have turned the exploration in for 5 points, and then you can turn these notes in for 2, and then you're done for the day.